And now behind the scenes on the making of Terminator. The location, the desolate nighttime streets of downtown Los Angeles on the set of The Terminator, a futuristic action thriller from Hemdale Productions and Orion Pictures. Starring Arnold Schwarzenegger in a very unique role. The film also stars Linda Hamilton and Michael Biehn. Based on a screenplay written by James Cameron, the director, and Galen Hurd, the producer, Arnold Schwarzenegger plays the Terminator, a cyborg, part man, part machine, who has only one purpose: to return to the present to prevent the future.
Well, Terminator for me is a very important and a very different role that I've ever played before. First of all, because it is not a barbaric type of a role. It's not with where you show the body or the muscles or so on. It's not a prehistoric type of a character or role. It's futuristic. And I played the villain the first time in my life. And it is playing a robot. I've never done that. So all of the things that the Terminator has are things that are very unique for me, and that's why I was very enthusiastic playing Terminator. And it's a very strong character, and it's a villain, but it is a villain that gets away with being a villain for the audience out there because it's playing a robot and not really a human being.
Michael Biehn plays a hardened guerrilla fighter also sent back to present day from the future to protect the Terminator's unsuspecting victim from the relentless onslaught of the unstoppable killer machine.
All right, listen. The Terminator's an infiltration unit. Part man, part machine. Underneath, it's a hyperalloy combat chassis. Microprocessor controlled, fully armored, very tough. But outside, it's living human tissue. Flesh, skin, hair, blood, grown for the cyborgs.
Look, Reese, I don't know what you want.
Pay attention! I gotta ditch this car. The 600 series had rubber skin. We spotted them easy. But these are new. They look human. Sweat, bad breath, everything. Very hard to spot. I had to wait till he moved on you before I could zero him.
Look, I am not stupid, you know. They cannot make things like that yet.
Not yet. Not for about 40 years.
It's a science fiction action thriller set in the present day, but it has a lot of futuristic overtones, and it involves time travel in the sense that the good guy and the bad guy are both trying to change history. The pivot of all this action is a girl who has no concept when the film begins of what her life will mean in the future. She's a waitress, she's going to college, she's trying to make ends meet, she has a lot of very common problems. She has no idea that these incredible events will impinge on her life. And then when they do, she has to learn to deal with it. And without giving away too much, basically her existence will have a significant event on all of world history in the future. And there's a tremendous desire for one side to have her removed. So they send back the Terminator to terminate her. She's targeted. And the good guys send back their man, and they can only send one guy. So he's got to go up against the almost impossible odds of trying to stop this machine which cannot be stopped. Arnold, as Terminator, cannot be stopped.
As with any science fiction thriller, special effects play a vital role in the visual excitement and success of the film. And Emmy Award-winning Stan Winston has really devised some unique makeup and special effects for Terminator based on sketches given to him by director James Cameron.
Creator of Terminator Effects, basically, is the title. My involvement is that I've basically the head of a large and extremely talented crew that have built and sculpted and put together this initial concept of GIMS.
I never thought the time will come where I will be looking at photographs And I myself would ask myself, is this me or is this the dummy? There was no way of telling the difference. And it was really weird. And only out of 10 times when I was asked the question, I must have been wrong 6 or 7 times. So this is how close this was, or exactly a resemblance of my face and of my head. So it was really amazing. Even in the film, there was no way of telling.
Meet the other star of the Terminator, a 200-pound electronically controlled robot created in the mind of director James Cameron. Built and designed by Stan Winston, the robot stands 6 feet 2 inches tall and has over 1,000 chrome-plated moving parts that were handcrafted by Stan and his staff. Building this mechanical marvel took almost a year from the original idea and initial drawings. Stan and his crew prepare for a scene where the cyborg has been injured in a fiery explosion. Now, this will be the first time the Terminator robot will be tested and filmed in a scene, so everything must work as it was designed to. A final test of all the moving parts are gone over. Stan and his crew must simulate for the cameras that the robot is walking with a limp. It will take a crew of 5 men to operate the robot, all moving in tandem to create the illusion for the cameras.
Working with the robot was a real experience, and it was very fascinating, and I just must applaud everything that they did. You know, they worked as hard as I did. It was also very strange because you have lots of people operating a puppet, and the director, I mean, it's not a real reality per se that you can just look at and respond to. You have to create it for yourself and then respond to it. And instead, you've got a director saying, okay, here he is. Okay, now he's getting up, and now he's going, and now he's coming. You know, you have a little hand to work with too often. But it was very interesting. Certainly, you know, one of the nicer things about the film.
Terminator, I must say, out of my career of a short 15 years, is the most exciting project that I've been involved with, and I hope will be extremely successful. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for everyone to see, and I was extremely fortunate in that I had such an amazingly talented group of guys to work with, whose names will remain off the screen, and no one will ever know who they are because I'm taking all the credit.
It really tested everything that I had. I felt completely exhausted when it was over. There was also a level of belief that was a little bit scary because we were working nights, 10 weeks at least of all-night shooting and coming home at dawn and trying to sleep, and it just wears down your spirit. So that by the end of it, you know, I just was so sort of caught up in really believing it and just undone by it.
One of the really nice things I think about The Terminator is that it is an action movie, and I think it's an excellent action movie. And I think James Cameron is really good, very talented young director. I think he's going to be a big star. I think he's very talented, and I think he really writes action well and directs it well. And so it's a good action picture, and so I think people should see it, and a lot of people see it just for the action alone. But on top of that, Linda and I's relationship in the movie gives us a chance to stretch a little bit and work as actors, not just running away from a robot. It's not what the movie's about, running away from a robot. It is, but at the same time, there's a good story, an excellent story here, you know, The Terminator, and it gives us a chance to play a lot of very good scenes as actors.
I came across time for you, Sarah. I love you. I always have.
I think Michael has a very promising future. He did a phenomenal job with the character. It's a very complex character because at the beginning we look at him as a villain, because he's going through the same movements and the same pattern of action as the Terminator. But then he has to change and become the hero, and then beyond the hero, he has to become the romantic lead, if you will. So there's a transmigration of the character that happens. Michael did a phenomenal job with that. Really understood the character. He brought a lot of intensity to it. I think that the chemistry between the two of them is absolutely perfect. Run you up from further back. Let's start you back a little more by the burners. Linda, you too, so that Michael can switch over to this position.
Okay.
Okay? Ooh,
Okay, so
ankle's
it's okay
going,
then
huh?
if I just come in?
No, the backs of my legs hurt. That's all right.
Oh, that's good. That's because they haven't had enough
It's okay
exercise.
then, we don't have to match this, so I can come in
Right,
like this?
exactly, right. And then Linda, just toss that pipe just down in here, okay? On the ground. Okay, let's see it again. Do it a little faster, too. Terminator's coming. And action.
Action!
Cut.
Cut!
And action.
Rarely do viewers ever get the opportunity to witness the painstaking preparation and special effects production that goes into just one action scene of a motion picture. We're about to show you in capsulized form the production efforts of over 50 crew members during 2 nights of shooting for a scene that will last approximately 90 seconds in the finished film. Now, scenes are shot in segments. This means that each scene in the picture is usually shot from 2 or 3 different angles. Well, in this one scene, Linda Hamilton and Michael Biehn will be filmed at least 3 times from at least 3 different angles. And who said being a movie star was fun and glamorous?
The scene in general consists of a chase on foot down an alley where the guy and the girl are running from the killer cyborg from the future, and presumably he can gain on them because he's faster than they are. So the hero's got to come up with something fast. So he uses his shotgun to blow up the gas tank of a car, which creates a sort of wall of fire, and he jumps in his car and starts backing up, and Arnold's character, the Terminator, comes leaping through the fire and punches through the windshield to get the girl.
And roll sound!
107, Charlie, cover mark, AMC camera, mark!
There we go, and action!
Get in, Ken! Cut!
As you can see, every precaution is taken to ensure that the fire created by the special effects team can be easily controlled. Almost every major motion picture today which incorporates hazardous stunts uses stuntmen to double for the star. Well, here, stuntman Frank Orsatti doubles for Arnold in a fiery leap to the hood of the moving car. Another dangerous stunt successfully completed.
On this movie, I was not about to do 100% of my stunts. The stunts were very, very dangerous on this film, and this is why I was not attempting to try to do it like in Conan, you know, where I do my own stunts.
However, when the camera needs a close-up of the leading actor, a double cannot be used. Arnold must actually hang on to the hood of the car as it races backward. And to create the illusion that the Terminator is partially on fire, the special effects team sprays 2 interacting chemicals over Arnold's body to create the smoke effect. Then, at the last minute, a rubber cement-type material is brushed onto his clothing and placed on fire. And the cameras begin to roll. Then there are illusions that even Arnold's massive strength can't create. Now, this is when the mechanical effects team, headed by veteran Roger George, is called in to create movie magic. He's also in charge of creating the fire and explosions in the film. Jim and Roger discussed the operation of a specially designed pneumatic arm and fist that will be used for the first time in a motion picture to create the illusion that Arnold is punching through a windshield. Everything must go right on the first try, so the stunt is rehearsed and timed over and over again. There's no margin for error. Timing is everything. One miscue by Arnold or any of the crew would mean that the scene would have to be shot again, and the windshield in the car would have to be replaced. A very costly and time-consuming process.
I've seen things where windshields have been broken, and I've done it with breakaway glass, and I've never been satisfied that it looks right. And we had to play several consecutive scenes after that with that windshield in view, because that car then goes out into a car chase, and it had to look like a real windshield had been broken. So I talked to some special effects people, the mechanical effects people on the film, and we determined that we had to use a real windshield. So the question was, how do we generate the force to get through a real windshield on camera? So we built a steel fist that weighed, I don't know what it weighed, 15, 20 pounds, something like that, and put it on a pneumatic ram that had 300 foot-pounds of pressure behind it, and set it up on a rig. Now, unfortunately, the rig was not mobile. It couldn't be moved at the speed that I wanted the car to be moving, because the car is in motion. So, but you can create the illusion that the car is moving by moving the background. So that's how we wound up putting 45 feet or 50 feet of brick wall on the side of a tractor trailer and moving it the opposite direction by the car with a fixed camera. The illusion works quite well. You really believe that you're moving with a moving car at the moment that it takes place. And then, of course, we put Arnold in front of the hydraulic ram, pneumatic ram, and we have the illusion that he punched through a windshield on a moving car.
Hey! Turn the E-fan up. You like? Act right.
Nice work, effects.
Boy, that team effort really paid off. The next segment of this action scene is carefully discussed between stunt coordinator Ken Fritz, the director, and Arnold's stunt double, Frank Orsatti. It's the continuation of the alley scene, where the Terminator is clinging to the moving car as it races into the streets and crashes into a parked car. Once again, Arnold is brought in for a close-up shot from the sidewalk after being thrown over the cars.
Whatever is will be taken away, and then
You almost don't look at him as you slam it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
You're
yeah.
already thinking
But
about how you're going to get in
the
and what you're going to
car,
have.
using the car as an object for the next move, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A discussion with Jim, Arnold, and the actor playing the police officer takes place to rehearse and time out exactly the physical assault on the officer in the film. Special padding is placed under the outer clothing of the actor to avoid injury when Arnold slams him into the door.
Back, and you go like this, yeah.
Like that.
Then I can go in.
Yeah, and that throws him well clear. That's what I want out there.
And now that you've seen what goes into the production of just one 90-second action scene shot over a 2-night period, let's take a look at the completed scene as it appears in the actual film.
Cut.
This is 1L19. I got a hit-and-run felony. Suspect vehicle, late model gray Ford, headed westbound on 7. He's really moving, punching lights all the way. I'm gonna need an ambulance at 7th and Broadway right now. Hey, hold it! Ah! Oh,
All units watch for late model gray Ford landing westbound on 7th and Broadway.
In 1984, film audiences were introduced to a new kind of villain.
You're terminated.
7 years later, writer-director James Cameron has re-teamed with stars Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton for the long-awaited sequel, Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
If it is little children today or grown-ups, the one line that everyone always asks me to say is, you know, say, "I'll be back." Say that line. Come on now.
Are you gonna be back or what?
I'm a cybernetic organism. Cyberdyne Systems Model 101. I'll be back.
Those words took on new meaning in the fall of 1990 when cast and crew reunited in the Mojave Desert to continue the story of Sarah Connor and her fight against the machines of the future.
The important element that's changed in her life since we saw her last is that she's had her son, John Connor, and he's now 10 years old. The new Terminator of the film is not targeted on her anymore. The child now himself is the target.
Okay.
For Cameron, Terminator 2 was only a matter of time.
Action!
It was inevitable that a Terminator sequel would get made, and I wanted to be at the helm. I wanted to make sure it didn't kind of drift off the concept of what it should be about.
Cameron's vision of a killer cyborg from the future hit a chord with audiences worldwide.
The Terminator represented something to people, a kind of a dark side of the human psyche. People want to have that fantasy of being able to do exactly what they wanted to do whenever they wanted to do it.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
You forgot to say please.
It took us all, I think, a while to realize that the Terminator had kind of permeated into the culture, and it just kept getting reflected back to me in so many ways.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator.
Arnold was always a very strong force in trying to get the sequel made.
I've said to Jim Cameron, I said, you know, we should have an ongoing story because we're dealing here with such an interesting subject.
I knew, instinct told me that based on the strength of the first film, that there would be another one. It's just, you're never ready.
Several of the original Terminator crew returned for the sequel, including director of photography Adam Greenberg and Terminator effects creator Stan Winston.
Sequel must be true to the first film, but yet it must be more than the first film. We have to give them what they got in the first, and we have to give them something new and fresh. And I think that's what we've done in Terminator 2.
How can Arnold be starring in the sequel?
A Terminator is built in a factory, and there's one after another, and they all look like Arnold. I guess it's just because he's cute.
This Terminator, however, isn't just another pretty face.
There's more sophistication to the way it will look, and bigger, much bigger things will happen on the screen.
Action! Action, Arnold! CO2!
For 6 months, Terminator 2 combined the efforts of over 1,000 filmmakers, shooting day and night throughout the state of California to capture the many action sequences of the script. The production actually changed the course of a river to shoot high-speed chases in the extensive flood control channels of Los Angeles.
Roll, guys, roll.
The tight quarters and massive filming equipment often paralleled the action of the scenes being shot. A defunct steel mill was resurrected by the filmmakers, recreating the intense heat and light of molten steel. Ironically, actual temperatures in the mill averaged 42 degrees, making it difficult for the actors to work up a sweat. And in Northern California, a team of expert pyrotechnicians staged one of the largest police shootouts in cinematic history.
And action, Arnold.
Arnold, tell me that wasn't a rush.
Their crowning achievement, however, was blowing up a 4-story office building.
Were we supposed to roll?
That was a rehearsal.
I was waiting for your cue, Jim.
Arnold and I working together, it's just like it was on the first picture. He's one of the most professional people I've ever worked with. He has incredible concentration. He takes physical direction like no actor I've ever worked with. And it's really a joy to work with him.
Yeah, exactly.
Really part of the shoot.
It was before my method acting seminar.
Although then, in 1984, he paid a lot of attention to the acting, he pays much more attention to the acting now. The way he goes about directing actors, how much time he spends with rehearsals, how much time he spends with perfection and with moves and gestures.
I think you both go. And then freeze.
So I would say that in that area, he's much smarter and much more sophisticated. I mean, he wants to do basically everything because he has such a clear vision of what he wants to see. And see him ending up running with the smoke machine and creating smoke in front of the camera and then putting on blood and trying to do your makeup. That's why people always say that a Jim Cameron movie has a certain look, because it's a total representation of what he wants to see.
Long before the cameras roll, Cameron and crew are hard at work, designing sequences and testing ideas in a unique mix of filmmaking and science.
I do a lot of visual research, I do a lot of technical research. The more fantastic the subject, the more realistic the situation needs to be.
Using extremely detailed models, Cameron designed sequences with the aid of a thumb-sized video camera. By blocking the scene in miniature, production designer Joe Nemec can alter a location or set to meet the specific needs of the scene. Also during pre-production, an ex-Israeli commando provided the cast with military combat and weapons training. Since the character of Sarah has become an expert marksman, Linda was required to master a variety of guns and assault rifles.
It was really like entering the military and learning the mindset and coming up against myself in a big way. That was even more significant in terms of playing Sarah.
Very good.
She has so set herself down a path, a concentrated path of duty, that she's lost all touch with her son.
You cannot risk yourself even for me. Do you understand? You're too important.
She's a great warrior, but for what? You know, so what? She doesn't have anything that makes it worthwhile, you know. And also, my life. It's like, oh, we don't even notice the gunshot anymore.
Why does it want me?
It was a nuclear war.
Sarah has lived with the certain knowledge of the destruction of the world on a certain date for so long, and it haunts her dreams and nightmares every night. And it's driven her kind of to the point of madness, really, as it would anybody who really had to confront that knowledge.
Because I knew it happened! It happened!
We experience the end of the world through Sarah's eyes, a process that called for the strictest sense of realism. But even more powerful and haunting are Sarah's visions of the people.
And he comes down, and action, he jumps off and covers up. Oh, stop. What'd you do? See Commando 10 times?
When we had to create ashen bodies that were going to be blown away by a nuclear holocaust, it was very unsettling. And it was the one time when you got a little uncomfortable because it wasn't pleasant to look at while you were shooting it.
but it is the important aspect of the film.
Judgment Day, the day Sarah was told the war would start, clearing the path for humanity's successor. The machines. Future War. For Terminator 2, Cameron mobilized an army of actors, stunt people, and special effects crews to create the final battle between humanity and the machines. This battle took place on many levels in Terminator 2, as the crew executed one successful vehicle stunt after another.
That is a cut. That is a cut.
One scene required the Terminator to climb from a speeding pickup onto a heavy tanker, a feat performed by Arnold's stunt double, Peter Kent. After a successful spin-out, the truck was rolled onto its side and dragged by a team of tractors. Peter rode the sliding tanker like a surfboard. To protect young John Connor, the human resistance has sent the Terminator itself.
My mission is to protect you.
Who sent you?
You did.
This is deep.
Playing the role of young John Connor is newcomer Eddie Furlong.
It's almost in a way the classic story. I mean, he literally was just plucked off the streets of Pasadena and whipped into the vortex of making a movie.
And Jim said, Eddie, I was going to tell you Friday, but don't tell anybody. But we picked you for this film. And I felt like hugging Jim, but he's a guy, so I didn't hug him.
Cast with less than a month before production, Eddie began an intense period of preparation. In addition to his regular education, he received physical training, acting lessons, and motorcycle classes.
Funny thing is, I'm sure it's nothing like anything he ever expected, and it's a total left turn in his life. But on the other hand, children have this remarkable capacity to just deal with things, whatever life throws them. They don't know how the world is supposed to be yet, so they just think that's okay. You know, it can be like this if it wants to be.
One of the many tasks Stan Winston and crew undertook was enhancing the original Terminator makeup design.
Originally, there were a number of stages designed or considered as Arnold stages in makeups for this particular production. An actor must know going into a situation like this that there is physical stress with this process. Fortunately, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a pro.
3 more hours of this. I don't know how much longer I can take this.
He attacks it as a pro. He doesn't complain.
All right. But I need my foot massages, my oatmeal, my Austrian Christmas music. I need it all. Go ahead. Do it.
This pre-made up piece here is going to be glued to Arnold's face with the help of Arnold holding it. Hold on a second. Okay, now, it's the glue we use. It makes these arms pop up and get all swollen. On days when the makeup doesn't turn out 100%, I just sneak by the camera and rub a little Vaseline on the lens, and then everything looks fine. Don't tell the DP that. He gets really upset.
This was so funny.
During the production, makeup artist Jeff Don and Steve Laporte and hairdresser Peter Tothball would transform Arnold into the flesh-covered Terminator an estimated 35 times, totaling 6 consecutive days in the makeup chair for Arnold.
Not too much, because if you put too much blood on it, it doesn't, you can't see the work that's been done. You can't see the metal and the flesh that's gone. It just looks like a big bloody mess, like you slap some hamburger on it.
That's a good example, Jeff.
Hamburger?
I'm proud of
well,
you.
I'm hungry right now, so
Okay.
I use hamburger.
People accept this possibility that there can be a blend between a human component and a machine component. And I think it's just an aspect of our lives right now, that we're so surrounded by machines all the time. And the fact that we can accept that, to me, is the most amazing thing of all.
What it is I'm too handsome. no camera can take all these good looks. So what they do in every movie basically is they put appliances on and terrible makeup on to kind of tone my looks down a little bit, so I match up to the rest of the actors in the movie.
So tell me, Linda, what do you think?
I'm a little too pretty, too, for this movie, so...
All right. Wow! Was my breath that bad? 2.5, 3 hours, and he's done. The next stage for the makeup is stage 5, 6, 7, and it's basically the same that Arnold had before, just more chrome, more appliances. He'll have his eye plugged up so he won't be able to see out of it. And it'll take probably an hour, hour and a half longer to put on. He's gonna love it.
As one might imagine, Sarah has trouble accepting the Terminator as an ally.
Although she doesn't know that he's going to come back, she knows that it's a possibility, so she's ready. No affection. You know, I've kept it really clean.
Do you know what you're doing?
I've detailed files on a human anatomy.
I bet. Makes you a more efficient killer, right?
Correct. Terminator in this film adopts certain human characteristics.
You gotta listen to the way people talk. And if someone comes up to you with an attitude, you say, hasta la vista, baby.
Hasta la vista, baby. That character slowly develops by the very fact of hanging around a human being.
Jesus, you were gonna kill that guy.
Of course, I'm a Terminator.
Listen to me very carefully, okay? You're not a Terminator anymore, all right?
And all that registers, and I start dealing with all those kind of emotions.
But the Terminator sent to kill young John is unlike any killing machine ever imagined.
I call him a mimetic polyalloy, meaning that he's made of a substance that can imitate anything.
Playing the T-1000 is Robert Patrick.
Jim was looking for somebody that was sort of a mixture between the Protector character, which was Michael Biehn in the first, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is the Terminator. And I think he was looking for somebody that could look like he could possibly just be a human, and yet could be a Terminator, could handle the intensity to be in a Terminator.
Well, I wanted to find someone who would be a good contrast to Arnold. If the 800 series is a kind of human Panzer tank, then the 1000 series had to be a Porsche, an advanced prototype Terminator who was more fearsome than the old model. The thing I like about Robert was he kind of looks like a cat in a way. It's almost like it's about senses with him. You know, you feel that he's very in touch with the world and analyzing it and observing it.
My character wants to completely take out John Connor. That's his mission. A relentless, tenacious killing machine, and he won't stop.
Though their missions are exact opposites, both Terminators stem from the same creator, the unseen supercomputer called Skynet.
So it's like this is the first time you've had to deal with an equal, because Terminators don't fight Terminators.
Right.
It's never happened before.
We stem from the same technology, so we've got to have some like programming there. Are you the legal guardian of John Connor?
That's right, officer. What's he done now?
So we're both killing machines, we're just different types.
There was a guy here this morning looking for him, too.
Yeah, big guy on a bike. Has that got something to do with this?
The new Terminator, really, with his new capabilities, is much more threatening.
I'm basically death. You know, they're running from death.
Both Terminators are programmed to complete their missions at all costs and without question. But Sarah has decided to confront her destiny and takes matters into her own hands.
I need to know how Skynet gets built. Who's responsible?
The man most directly responsible is Miles Bennett Dyson.
She decides that the only way to stop the future that she knows is going to happen is to kill the man that builds the chip that starts the war.
In a very real way, she becomes the Terminator of the second film, at least at a kind of a psychological level.
For cast and crew, Terminator 2 has been more than a reunion.
Has been very intense to work, and you know, a lot of night shooting and a lot of long hours and so on.
Oh, he's just wants to rip him away because he's embarrassed.
And I'm very honored and happy that I'm able to do the second one.
In 1984, Cameron transformed Arnold into one of the screen's most memorable villains. 7 years later, the process is reversing itself. The Terminator is becoming a protector.
Ultimately, the film is about the value of human life. No matter how inconsequential you may seem to others or even to yourself, your individual existence may have great value in the future.
Grab it, go! Go!
They have a job to do, protect her son, and they do it.
Terminator was heralded as the science fiction film of the decade. 7 years later, stars Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton and visionary director James Cameron have created one of the largest movies ever, the conclusion of the Terminator saga. For cast and crew, Terminator 2 was nothing short of destiny.
Hasta la vista, baby.